Hello and welcome. You're watching a final presentation for Project Change and Management. My name is Andy Oscom and I'm a Group 3 member. This presentation is a brief outline of events and most notably some lessons learned during the course. In week 1, we started with our project idea. Our project involved the procurement, installation, and commissioning of machinery for a new smoke detector production line that's going to replace the current model line. On-time completion is paramount before sales from the old line are no longer profitable. Our team evaluated the assignment requirements and submitted our work, but we were quickly asked to rewrite it from the standpoint of basically an executive summary. Our initial effort was too wordy and it didn't capture the audience well or quickly. This rendition probably got put on the "I'll read it later" pile, short for not interested. Certainly not what we wanted to happen in the face of top company brass. We ultimately needed to gain the attention of a very busy CEO who probably isn't too interested in looking at our proposal at first glance. So we hit the big points. Why was it needed? What's the impact to company revenue? And most important of all to high-ranking company officials, how much would it cost? Once we approached the assignment from that direction, we hit the nail squarely on the head. That took us to week 2, where we looked at scope, deliverables, assumptions, and constraints. Here we used more visuals to convey our information. This captured our stakeholder audience more effectively. We created a charter, clearly broken into specific sections for ease of reference. We made a work breakdown structure which included the cost of each deliverable and work package. We also did a Gantt chart that identified work package and deliverable timelines, as well as milestones. Here again, many of the milestones were tied to payments for the equipment. Week 3 was the budget and quality plan. Our team felt good based on the previous 2 weeks, but for whatever reason, this week we focused more on verbiage and visuals. Not too swift on our behalf, as the methods we used previously to capture attention weren't present to do so again. Well, we paid for it. We got our lights shot out. Lots of comments, which we all quickly realized were warranted. We didn't think through some of the questions the audience would ask. As an example, we had monetary reserves on our budget plan, but no recourse if we didn't use them. Always make sure there's a plan for the money. We quickly realized we need to get back to some added visuals too. So we did a nice color-coded visual for the budget. And we also did a few tables signifying how our quality assurance and control plans were to operate. During week 4, we tackled the human resource plan, communication plan, and risk registry. After the minor shellacking we took in week 3, we regrouped and we got back to what worked so well for us out of the gate to that point in time. Visuals, easy to read, uncluttered visuals. So with that in mind, we kicked out a nice organizational chart showing who reports to who, a very nice RACI chart, a histogram detailing staff hours needed for each project member. We detailed a process to handle escalations within the project. We also did a glossary for our communication terms. We determined our communication constraints. And naturally, we did the communication plan itself visually. We even did a nice flow chart for our communication process. And lastly, we compiled a table for our risk register. Our CEO was thrilled with the work we had done. Our charts and tables made it clearly look like we knew what we were talking about, and also that we had a plan to deal with anything that came up. Week 5 was a big one. We had to tackle change control, how we'd handle our communication efforts in detail, and then ultimately submit the final project. So we went right to what worked the best by keeping sentences to a minimum and created more charts, forms, and tables. We created a flow chart for the change process. We created a form to be used by project members when initiating a change. We broke out a line item from the communication plan and detailed what specific aspects needed to be reported on week to week. And lastly, we did a communication escalation flowchart, detailing how to handle news of tasks that have gone over budget or behind schedule. Once complete with these components, we submitted our final project. My fellow group members and I learned many lessons through this course, week to week, and most often day to day. Here are some of the larger ones to highlight. First, you gotta capture your audience's attention quickly. Everybody's busy, especially those working above us, and they are not chomping at the bit to stop and mine data out of a multiple page document, and almost always the money is the biggest attention grabber. On that note, always keep an eye on the money. How much? When will it be spent? Who's handling its outlay? What's it gonna get you? Visuals. Visuals speak louder than words. Like was mentioned above, no one wants to have to mine information out of a document. Keep the visuals neat and orderly, don't overclutter. Each project member or stakeholder wants to know about their stuff first. Folks, change happens, period. So you better have a good, simple plan to handle it quickly and concisely. If there wasn't any change, would we really need full-time project managers? Well, that concludes the presentation. Thanks for taking the time to watch. Oh, and I wouldn't be doing Group 3 any justice if I didn't put on one small plug for our baby the last 6 weeks. Ekoms, your first choice in fire safety. Thanks for watching.